So this will be a little more light-hearted segment. We'll talk a little bit more about your coaching. I've got what I call a quick fire finish where I give you either or, quick little
Okay.
questions and getting to know Tim Siegel a little bit more. But as we talked on the phone the other day, I think this is an important part of knowing your story because of the fact that you you are going through the healing process and your life is changing a little bit, you know?
Absolutely. Well, I'm blessed to have a fiance now, and God
Absolutely.
put her in my life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, buddy, here we go. Hold on. And we welcome you back to KCBD Now. Kurt Kaiser with you on a Tuesday morning, and we are excited to be joined by Tim Siegel. Tim is joining us, hopefully, from a much better phone signal now as he attended a breakfast this morning, stepped outside to make this call and join us right now. But, Tim, I mentioned how life has changed a little bit. A tennis coach, what, 23 years at Texas Tech? Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, and
hmm
and Tim, actually, I don't know if you remember this. I was thinking earlier about how we actually met. We've known each other for a number of years. My son Chris, who is now 42 years old, lives in the Woodlands with his three girls, attended a tennis camp that you had at Texas Tech. This is before the McLeod Tennis Center. This is back at the old courts, and that's how we
Yes.
first connected through my son Chris. And incidentally, he says hi. Talked with him earlier today.
hmm
So it's interesting to know how things all started for you. And tennis and Texas Tech has been a huge part of Tim Siegel's life.
Yes, and I certainly remember those days. I remember vividly the camps, and I loved my time. And tennis was my life at a really early age, 7 years old, and played tennis in the juniors, and went to the University of Arkansas. We had some top 10 teams, and then was blessed to have played professional tennis and played in all the Grand Slams, and played some of the biggest names in tennis, Lendl and McEnroe and Edberg and others. And so tennis has provided me with a lot. And but what's interesting is the last thing Luke and I ever did was play tennis.
Wow.
Right before his accident, we played tennis. And because of that, I couldn't get near a tennis court. For 10
Hmm.
years, I didn't even want to see a court. I couldn't look at a court. It was hard for me to even go to the McLeod Tennis Center to support my former players, and it was difficult. But I'm now back playing tennis again in Dallas, and actually teaching tennis in South Lake, and so it's been a complete um, turnaround for me, and I'm happy about that because tennis was so important in my life. And a lot of players my age, at 62 years old, the last thing they want to do is either play tennis or teach tennis, and I'm loving doing both.
I know you give a lot of credit to your fiance, Terry, and that's another great aspect of your life that you're very happy about, isn't it?
I know that God put us together. Terry had a spinal stroke 17 years ago, and she has a daughter who plays college soccer for Lubbock Christian. So we'll be watching her daughter tomorrow night playing, and she also has another daughter who plays college soccer for Texas A&M. But we are blessed. She and I have a wonderful relationship, and we've both been through a lot, and so certainly there's some parallels in our life. But I know that God put us together, and we're certainly going to make the most of this. We're actually getting married on 12/12 this year.
Good, excellent. Well, congratulations on your engagement and then your impending marriage. I know that's an exciting time in
Thank
your
you.
life.
Mm,
Tim, as
thank
we
you.
talk about tennis, I've got to admit that at the top of my bucket list is going to Wimbledon and seeing part of the Wimbledon tournament because I think that there's four Grand Slams. They're all great. I don't know why I'm prejudiced toward Wimbledon. Of the four, do you have a favorite?
Well, let's see. The Australian Open is my favorite because it was just a fun family kind of, and there was the crowds were great. The U.S. Open I love because I had the best success. I made the third round of the U.S. Open, played really well there. The French Open I didn't love as much because I didn't love the clay courts,
Yeah, clay's a
but
tough
Wimbledon is
surface.
special. Right. But Wimbledon is special. Wimbledon is unique. Wimbledon, when I remember walking up the first time I played Wimbledon and seeing a line, or a queue as they call it, a mile long to get into to the grounds, it is so special. And matter of fact, I so much want to go back. I haven't been back since 1989 when I last played there.
Wow.
I do want to go there at some point because it's an incredible place.
I guess I always enjoyed the pageantry of Wimbledon. You have the royals that come
Absolutely.
watch and everything that makes it a little extra special. You talk about Australia. I have a son that lives in Melbourne, and he goes to the Australian Open every year. He works with ESPN, so he gets great seats, by the way, Tim.
Mm.
But the Melbourne Open
Yes.
is fun. The Australians love their tennis. The English love their tennis. Each of those Grand Slams, that has to be an exciting thing to be a part of.
Oh, it really is. And sometimes I have to pinch myself that I actually did play professional tennis and was so grateful to have played all those Grand Slams. And, I never got a master's after college, but I guess in some ways I have a PhD in traveling. I was able to travel the world, all over the world, in Africa, Asia, Europe, um, South America. And how many people get to do that? And I got to do this to play the sport that I love. So, and now to be able to be back on the court teaching, and my days as the tennis coach at Texas Tech were some of the best days of my life because I loved coaching, improving players their games, but I also loved talking about life and talking about family and talking about things that were important to them then, but also after school. So hopefully I made an impact on those players, both in tennis and off the court as well.
You become a true family when you're a tennis coach and the head of the Texas Tech team for so long. I know you're a true family, and that team has continued to support you through Hope for Minds and everything that's gone on in your life since you were a coach. I know you've felt that support from not only tennis, but you mentioned Joey McGuire, you mentioned football, you mentioned other sports. They've all reached out to Tim, and they've been a big part of everything you've done, haven't they?
They really have, and I mention this a lot too. That those famous athletes mean the world to me, but it's also those that are not famous, right? Just the friends and people that I've met along the way. That when I'm in Dallas, sometimes I've seen it, or in other places where I see the old T-shirts, Team Look Hope for Minds, and it just when I get messages, and I'll be posting something tomorrow about the 5-year anniversary, and those that respond, it's those people that in life, it's all about making an impact, isn't it? Whether it's as a coach, in business, with your family, and the fact that I'm able to make an impact, um, is really special. But it's also the fact that my son, has been able to make an impact, and I know how difficult it has been on my daughters, Alex and Kate and Ellie, are incredible girls. I'm blessed to have such beautiful, amazing daughters who have had to deal a lot with grief and losing a brother, and then seeing a father and a mother, deal with grief, and so it's really been a challenge for them, and I credit so much of how they've dealt with everything.
We were talking about grief earlier, and one of the things that I've always thought about grief, everybody deals with things differently, and you have to respect the way someone deals with it. It may not be your way, but there's different ways to grieve, isn't there?
There is, and Jenny and I dealt with it differently, and in some ways, I can say that I've dealt with it more selfishly than I should have. I should have been better with Jenny and certainly with my girls, but I was doing the best that I could. I was so grief stricken when Luke passed, because I thought Luke was making improvements. You always hear that there's no timetable for grief, and I will always deal with grief for the rest of my life. The triggers. When I'm driving to Lubbock tomorrow, I will feel something in my stomach as I approach Post and on my way into Lubbock because I know what happened to me in that city, in my city. Um, but I know this. My suggestion to everyone is don't ever feel like you can do this on your own. Reach out to a pastor, reach out to friends and family, reach out to professionals because I certainly have done that. And I know that it's not easy to do this on your own in life in general, and certainly not when you lose a child.
I talked earlier about things that people say that are well meaning, but at the time aren't the best thing to say. What do you tell people when someone is going through a tragic event, like you went through, what's the best thing? I don't, there's not one answer to this, Tim, but what do you suggest to people as they're trying to console parents or sisters or family that have gone through an event like you went through? How do people minister to you and encourage you the most?
Sometimes it's just a simple thinking of you. The text messages. I'm here for you. I'm thinking about you. Those are the best. Everyone struggles with what to say. But at the same time, when I still receive text messages, when I still receive voicemails or a phone call, hey, I thought about Luke today, and here's a picture of my son wearing number 3, or I just want you to know I still think about your family all the time. That's so important, and that's what I try to convey to others as well, dealing with similar things. That I don't need to preach or to tell someone how they're supposed to feel. I need to let them know I'm just here for them.
Tim, we're going to shift gears a little bit right now. I'm putting on the glasses, so it's getting really serious right now. Actually, it's
Hmm.
not as serious. We're going to have fun with this. This is a quick fire finish. I'm going to throw some things at you. You get to make a choice of two different things, okay? So, here's a good one right to start off with. We were talking about tennis. Singles or doubles?
Doubles, that was my thing. I love volleying. I love being aggressive at the net. So doubles all the way.
And there's a huge difference between the two. A big difference. There's very few that really have made the crossover to both, right? I mean, not the crossover, but you usually are a better singles or doubles player. It's usually one or the other, isn't it?
Well, that is true. Listen, if I had played Ivan Lendl, I might have lost 6-0, 6-0, but I beat him in doubles. It's an entirely different game, whether it's to return a serve, it's volleys, being aggressive at the net. So it's totally different. Yes.
Here's a tough one. Best tennis player you've ever seen. Putting you on the spot here, Tim. Who do you point to?
Well, live, back when I was playing, my favorite tennis player was Stefan Edberg. Um, John McEnroe was the most gifted player that I ever saw. And then I have to go to Andre Agassi. Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras, but Andre Agassi was one of my favorite players. He's one of my favorite people. He was the most gifted tennis player I ever saw. And then today, listen, Roger Federer and Carlos Alcaraz, but to me, Roger Federer is the greatest of all time, despite the fact that Novak Djokovic has won the most titles and better head to head. Nobody played like Roger Federer.
You mentioned some great names there, and Andre Agassi was always one of my favorites. That man had more fight in him than I've ever seen on a tennis
Mm.
court, and provided probably one of the most exciting matches at the U.S. Open ever. At an advanced age, you don't say old because in tennis you're not old,
Mm.
but you're advanced. But man, I've never met the man. I know you have. I loved his fight.
He was such an incredible tennis player, a great ball striker, fought. He had a great career, and then he kind of fell off, and then came back even better. I've been able to visit with him a number of times. He came to do an event for us. He supports our cause. There's not a better, more genuine person in the world than Andre Agassi.
All right, Tim, morning person or night owl? Which one are you?
I don't think I've ever slept past 9 in my life. I am a morning person all the way. I love it when I can wake up and it's not 4 or 5 in the morning, that it's 6 or 7. I've been that way my entire life. Part of it was because when I was coaching or playing, I was always up thinking about it. My night is 10 o'clock, 10:30, and I'll get up early every morning.
Favorite Lubbock restaurant, Tim? Let's talk food. Where do you like to eat when you come back to Lubbock?
Oh my gosh. Right now, I think about restaurants that supported our mission. So I think about walk-ons and how much they supported us, and Perry's and Stella's. Those are ones that have done so much for us. So those three stand out.
Favorite in Dallas or Dallas area? Is there one that you found there that Lubbock doesn't have? We have almost every restaurant, but there's still a few that we don't have here. Can you think of one?
Gosh, there's because I live so close to South Lake, we love our Mexican food certainly. I'm a big seafood guy too, so I don't know if I could single out any, but those are the two types of food that we eat a lot.
Tim, I was in McKinney for a couple of years, and my favorite breakfast place was First Watch. Have you been to First Watch?
You know what? I went to First Watch for the very first time a couple of weeks ago when I was in Austin. What a great
Really?
place.
Oh, it is. It's terrific, and I enjoyed that. That was just an aside there. Okay,
Hmm.
what makes you laugh? What still makes Tim Siegel laugh?
You know something? The fact that you asked that question is great because what Terry has provided me is laughter. No, nothing more important in life than laughter. I basically went about 10 years without laughing that much because of what had happened to me. What makes me laugh is when Terry can make fun of me. I'm pretty good at handling that because I'm so easy to be made fun of. Um, and certainly when it comes to TV shows, The Office and Seinfeld make me laugh. Um, but I think Terry makes me laugh.
I love that. That's a great answer, and it goes right in line. It could be the same answer. One thing that you're grateful for today, I know just from what you said, Terry's probably at the top of that list.
Terry and listen, Jenny, the mother of my children and my daughters. I'm grateful for to be able to breathe every day. I'm grateful to be able to share my story, to be able to share Luke's story. I think the most important thing we can do in life is to have gratitude. My best buddy Bobby Bank always talks about gratitude every morning. What am I grateful for? And so I'm grateful for a lot of things.
And we need to remember that, don't we? This is going to be a tough one for you because I know it's going to be hard to come up with one word. But what one word comes to mind when describing Luke?
I thought you were going to ask me for me, and it was probably passion.
Uh
But
huh.
for Luke, the one word is kind. He was such a kind young boy. He was kind to his friends. He was kind to his family. He always put people first. He was very mature for his age. So I think kind.
I love that word. I love the word passion too, by the way, Tim. That's one of my
Mm,
favorites. I think everybody needs more passion. So here's a
mm.
tough one also. Your organization is called Hope for Minds. Finish this sentence for me. Hope is blank. Fill in the blank. What is hope? How do you describe hope?
Hope is what hope is what everyone needs all the time. Children with brain injuries, families need hope. Um, Today, I'm always thinking about hope, and I think everyone needs to hang on to and to really not ever lose sight of how important hope is. Whether someone's going through some illness or some tragedy with their job, with their business, with their family, with their kids, never give up hope, and that's the one thing I share with families is to always have hope.
I love that. Tim, let's end up by reminding people about the 5K color run. Comes up at Cooper High School this weekend, this Saturday. What do we need to remind them about? They can still enter. This is the main thing, isn't it?
Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. You can register between 8 and 9. You can also register online at hopeforminds.org. Listen, this is an opportunity whether you want to walk, jog, run, just be a part of the festivities. We have food trucks, and we just hope that as many people can come out there and be a part of it. The Pike fraternity are volunteering. The cheerleaders at the Cooper High School are also going to be volunteering. We've just got a great group of people that are involved, and I'm so appreciative of Lubbock Cooper for allowing us every year to have the run at the school. But it will be Saturday morning at 9 o'clock at Cooper, and you can register the day of.
Tim, thanks for joining us today. It's been fun seeing you, even if it was on video from Dallas to Lubbock. But I've always considered you a true friend, and I admire the work that you're doing through Hope for Minds. I know that you're the co founder, and you've just done tremendous work, and it continues to grow. Tim, thanks for what you do with that great organization and for families that are facing similar things to what you went through. I respect you as a friend and admire you tremendously, and I'm glad you've joined us today.
Kurt, thank you. And I have to tell you that Lubbock is blessed to have you back. Nobody does a better job interviewing and sharing stories than you. And so I'm really appreciative of you as well.
Thank you, Tim. Hope we get to see each other soon. All right, that
Take
is
care.
Tim Siegel, ladies and gentlemen. He has been my special guest this morning on KCBD Now, and that's the first time we've done a remote interview. We'll do remote interviews, we'll do live interviews in studio, and we'll have Tim back on periodically to give us an update on Hope for Minds and everything that organization is all about. As we look ahead to tomorrow on Wednesday, we have Jennifer Bird from Redbird Water coming up Thursday, Daryl Holland, the head of Cactus Theater, and then Friday, Charlie Minnick. You'll get to meet Charlie. And Charlie is with Bailey Tolliver RV. We'll talk all about RV travel. Thanks for joining us today on KCBD Now. We'll see you back here again tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Goodbye, everybody.